What's up, y'all? This is Religiously Incorrect. I'm Pastor Todd. I'm here with
Pastor Jeff. How are you? God bless you.
I wasn't gonna say the God bless you part.
Well,
but,
I'm still religious.
well, I'm incorrect. So it's great to be here. This is our first real bona fide episode of Religiously Incorrect. And before we start and dive into, man, give me one good week highlight that you've been looking at in the news or something that just kind of caught your eye, just made you. It could be good, bad, ugly.
Man, this whole Trump thing, man, everything that's going on is crazy, Doc.
Right.
I mean, with the fact of was the presidential guy who's running, who they trying to talk about, he had he touched the ladies incorrect.
Oh yeah, Biden.
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 And they ain't get and they got all kind of airplay, and Trump.
Yeah, he's dead, man.
Then molested somebody, but I mean, I ain't trying to be.
He about to tweet about you now, man.
I know.
Congratulations.
It don't matter.
What's your handle? At JL Stanford is him.
Hey, they love him. Hey, I just can't. I can't deal with him.
You know what? Mine was the Disneyland fight with the family that got in the fight at Disneyland. Did you see him?
I didn't see it.
It was 2 men and 2 women.
I didn't see it.
They were.
I did. You know what? I'm sorry. Can I go back? Can I change
you can
it?
Go. Yes, you can go back.
Because the fight in Youngstown at the court, the two guys,
yes,
that to me, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I feel like they should go to jail or not, because I think I might have done.
They should not go to jail.
I would do the same thing.
I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
I think it
I'm
should.
telling you, I don't understand why there isn't more chaos at courtrooms and welfare offices. I don't understand why there isn't more chaos at both of those offices. Because when I worked,
it was a lot of when I used to get food stamps, because I used to be in line. And
I'm talking like knock down, drag out. I mean, I've seen some, man. Little old sheriff, man, he can't do nothing, man. I mean, they can't do that with Boomquisha, man. He can't. But those guys, they definitely shouldn't be charged. I mean, how does a judge? The whole criminal justice system, to me, even in the injustice part, the big part of it is they seem to take the humanity out of people.
Exactly.
How do you not sympathize?
Now this is what I will do. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this, and I know most of us don't. And I'm looking at the camera right now.
Look at it.
I want to give a big shout out.
Big shout out
to the police officers, because they let them get about 3 licks in.
They did.
They let them get about 3. They was like, you know what?
They were like WWE referees.
And then they jumped in.
They were like,
but they let them get about 3. They let them kick in. Everything.
They were like that WWE referee that act like he's knocked out for a few seconds, and then he gets up. You're right. You're right. So you know what? Free our brothers. I don't even know their names, but free them. Give them. You murdered your mom, man. Just
come on. You got to give them.
I'm glad they got those licks in, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got them in. So much love and peace to that family and to everybody out there.
Here's
our subject for today: the R word.
The R word.
The R word. Our subject for today is the R word. This podcast is called Religiously Incorrect, and we might as well deal with the word religion. We might as well deal, and more specifically, Pastor Jeff, why has religion become like a 4-letter word in our culture? In particular, not outside, but in the church, amongst Christians, believers, those who profess some sort of Judeo-Christian values. Why has the R word become like the F word almost?
Well, I'm just going to be honest. I think with 2019 calls religion, 1985 called holy.
Okay. What 2019 called religion, 1985
called holy. And so, because back then to be religious was a badge of honor.
You making 85 sound like it was 1865.
No, it was a badge of honor though. To go to church, to go to Bible study,
fine, upstanding citizen.
It was a good thing. People respect it. Now, the same people who do the same things have become what the quote unquote world calls religious.
But again, now how do we translate that to the church, where you have believers saying, I don't like the concept of religion. I'm not religious. What are we getting at? What have we missed the boat? What has created that sour taste in people's mouths towards just the very concept?
It's so many different things, man. We are looking at a group of people who want more out of church than obviously what we're giving. They want the flashlights, they want the neon lights, they want the electric guitar, they want, they don't want to be up. And I had a conversation the other day. They don't even want to have offering plates passed around anymore.
Do they even want to give an offering?
From some of the conversations I've had, they don't mind giving an offering, but they want it to be the offering stations. They want it to be, you come in, if you want to give an offering, you give an offering. And for me, and particularly in the black church, It doesn't work like that.
Let's talk about us. Let's talk about darkies. Let's talk about us. Okay.
Some of us light skin is back.
Light skin is back. The barge is back.
They just had the story. Bobby
the barge. Okay, check it out. Religion, to me, it will be a combination of several factors that are no longer in vogue in any place in society. Religion, to me, is made up of some concepts: rules,
right,
restrictions, requirements, and routines.
Okay, well, that's good. We can preach that.
Can I preach it?
Talk about it.
Can I preach today?
Hey, should I quit or should I preach?
Listen. Won't he do it? But those are all things that sort of marked the larger society, which didn't make the tenets of religion seem so strange. You talk about going to church as a badge of honor, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. In particular, a lot of that has to do with just the religious undergirding of the struggle of our people.
Exactly.
It has to do with the building up of a community and a culture. I was listening to Dr. Lee talk last night about, he's being historian at our function the other night, talking about how church moved from here, there, and everywhere. But what happens is, as the society changes, it grows further and further apart from the basics of what we've always attached to religion. And then what it ends up leaving us with is the toxic side, the negative side that has always been there.
Right.
It always was there. There was always mean old ladies. There were always dry services. There were always schedules you had to keep up with, and just sort of feeling like you were doing the same thing over and over again. But when we sort of pulled away as a society from structure in other parts of our life, religion ends up being on this island by itself.
Absolutely.
And now we live in this world where the most normal thing to do in the world is to break rules and violate restrictions and attack anybody who has a problem with it. If I'm supposed to stand in line at Giant Eagle and somebody says, hey, you cut me, you can cut me once in a while. It ain't that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal is one of those phrases. Right. Rules are meant to be broken. So religion stands all by itself as a concept that is out of step and out of vogue with our culture. And now if you have a church, and most of us in the modern day is trying to reach the culture, we start speaking the language of the culture, and we try to reflect the norms of the culture, and the culture is basically anti-religion. So sooner or later, to attract people, you have to paint yourself as anti-religion.
Anti-religion, yeah. So let's go back, because you said those, what was that, four
rules,
points?
Requirements, restrictions, and routines.
Okay, let's can we talk about those?
Let's do it.
Talk about those.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about rules.
Rules
of the church, religious rules.
You to be a member, you got to be at church 75% of the time, or give a minimum amount of money, or
let's just start there. Let's just start there. In various churches, when you join a church, you have to go through classes.
Got to go through something.
You have to go through classes.
Got to get the right hand of fellowship.
And why is that so? Why is that called religious? Why is that so hard to want somebody to come to your church and actually learn about the church and know about the church for literally most times 5-6 weeks before you join the church? But that will literally cause people not to want to join the church.
Absolutely. Yeah. Life is too convenient and easy for us now. Life is too convenient and easy. And I think just in generalities, maybe we feel like it's a waste of our time. Maybe we're so used to consuming in a different way that engaging in this manner, I got to sit in a seat, I got to sit in somebody's classroom or sanctuary to learn this. Everything else I get by podcast, everything else I get by email. I pay my bills online. I work from home. All of my friends, I got 5,000 friends, only 3 of them are real, but I made 5,000 friends on Facebook. I did it all with the click of a button, and now you're asking me to violate that and go back to this archaic model. So maybe it's not the principle that they're in a disagreement with. Maybe it's the model, the way it looks. I have to come to a particular building at a particular time. The only time people really have to do that anymore is work. But maybe I should take that back. We do a lot of things where you have to be at a particular place at a particular time to take advantage of something.
Right.
Religion has just become the thing we don't want to do that.
Right.
So
but
rules.
You said something when you were talking about that. Is that a viable option to do these classes online or do these classes through podcasts, such as we're doing right now?
Does it align with the ideals that religion is supposed to accomplish?
Or church?
Yeah, church. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the church is supposed to be human beings coming together in an intimate and connective fashion that usually supposes that there is a personal in-person experience from one person to another that builds this religion and this shared faith. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have rewritten the rules of what it means to interact, be friends, conversate. The church doesn't fit into that mold because it still demands, for most part, for personal interaction. So a lot of these rules have to do with that personal interaction. Then it has to do with personal obligation. Mm-hmm. Okay? A shared investment of time, talent, and treasure. A shared value system of how you're going to manage yourself and adapt to the norms of a certain group of people. And again, we're so individualistic and unique and distinct that being a part of a monolithic group of people is not attractive anymore. So when we talk about religious, we often say you're religious because the order of service is the same every week.
Right.
But I don't know of a place that isn't about the same every week. Okay? At the most modern ministry out there that doesn't call itself religious or whatever, you're still going to sing a song, hear a message, receive funds some kind of way, and say a prayer. It's really no different than what they're doing at great grandma's joint when they had it written down in 19 steps of how they're going to go through a service. But it's the routine. Sometimes we want things so spontaneous. And the funny thing is, I think we don't realize how cyclical and repetitive our lives are in every other phase of life.
I'm sorry, I laughed because I've been at churches where the pastor has actually said, "Stop singing. Sing the song of the Lord."
Yeah.
What is the song of the? Am I just supposed to make up a song right now?
Pretty much, yeah.
And
Pretty much.
How does that work?
I mean,
and how long is this song?
I grew up in a Pentecostal, setting, a full gospel setting, gifts of the Spirit, Holy Spirit. Honestly, that became a routine after a while. I knew exactly when that lady was going to jump up and start speaking in tongues. I knew exactly who was going to interpret it. I knew exactly what he was going to do after it.
Absolutely.
It's all a routine. So whether it's on a piece of paper or not, it's still religious, because to do something religiously just means to do something in the fairly same way at about the same time with about the same people.
Right.
So I think here's what I'll say. I think that it became a bad word because other things became a buzzword. When kingdom became a buzzword, religion became a bad word.
Oh, no, we done brought up the kingdom.
Are we ready?
You done brought up the kingdom.
I'm going there.
Brought up the kingdom of God. Suffer violence,
kingdom-minded.
but the violence take it by force.
I'm kingdom. I don't do church anymore. Unpack it, Jeff. I don't do church anymore. I do kingdom.
It is the same thing. I mean, you don't have to unpack it. It's the same thing. You still going to church. You still, like you said, you still gonna sing a song.
No, it's not. It's not the same thing because we don't wear hats. It's not the same thing because we wear jeans.
We wear t-shirts. We wear, and truth be told, most of these, I mean, you're a Second Baptist.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
House of Hope.
Traditional Baptist church. Are you going to stand up in the pulpit on Sunday morning and if somebody walks in a pair of jeans and t-shirts and tell them no, they've got to go home?
Never seen it. Now, we can go by stares, and they stared at me. After a while, I start to worry if that's just perception or if you had that chip on your shoulder when you walked in the door, if you were told that people judge you and are going to look at you, so you're looking for it.
See, and that's one of the problems I have with kingdom people, because they will do stuff on purpose.
To generate a religious response.
Right. If you come to church on Sunday morning with your army suit on, your fatigues on, your combat boots, and a bandana on your head
and rat-a-tat up the aisle
right
in the middle of worship, I'm gonna tell you to stand up and sit down somewhere.
We looking at you like you're crazy. I'm sorry. We looking at you because it's okay to just put on a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and some tennis shoes, but you ain't gotta do all that you do.
But the kingdom, I don't think we always grasp that what religion is man's best attempt at any particular juncture in history to reflect the kingdom.
Absolutely.
It's just their way of organizing and administering themselves so that they can reflect the kingdom. And by the way, I think what we do is sometimes when we're between generations and a few people are a little bit ahead of the curve, they look back on people who haven't made the curve yet.
Absolutely.
And say, well, you're not kingdom, you're stuck in church, you're stuck in religion, you're stuck in routine. And really, sooner or later, that new thing you're doing will be old too.
Mm-hmm.
That new thing you're doing. And what was working made sense to the culture, and the culture did shift, and some people don't always catch up for various reasons. Right. And it does not mean they don't love God, they're not sensitive to the Spirit. If a day is like 1,000 years to God, then I think he can handle the fact that some church is still kind of stuck in the 90s.
Absolutely.
I think God can handle that.
Absolutely.
And we act like he can.
Absolutely.
We act like he's limited to our culture or norms, our way of looking at life. And so kingdom now becomes a stylistic term more than it is a biblical term.
But I think we need the kingdom needs those churches that are stuck in the 90s just as well.
The kingdom wouldn't have a church if it wasn't for the churches that are stuck in the 90s.
Come on. Yeah, it needs some. Some people are just, that's what they're not addicted, but they're used to. That's their thing. That's their If you like Popeyes and I like KFC, go to Popeyes.
We both eating chicken.
We both eating chicken.
Now, here's something we've alluded to before in personal conversation that you brought up, that sometimes people who talk about the kingdom and use it as a word, as a term, as a buzzword, they're actually narrowing it down to their particular experience or perspective, and it almost robs the kingdom of its potency, as if the kingdom is not broad and big enough to include grandma and grandchild at the same time, as if it doesn't include Mount Olive Baptist Church and Waves of Glory Kingdom Ministries and Dirt Bucket Ministries, in a ghetto somewhere. It can have all of those. It could be white, it could be black, it could be old, it can be young. Who are you to tell that 100-year-old believer that's been walking with the Lord for 75 years he's not about the kingdom and he's been preaching Jesus to the best of his ability, to the terminology he understands, to the songs he knows how to sing? Do you really want grandmama trying to sing Toby Mac for real?
Come on.
Because we've seen...
She can't. When I was at Beulah, we had a piano still, the older.
Right.
And she would do her best to try to play these new. Her fingers wouldn't even play them.
But again, God gave us all gifts within generations. Syncopation is the word, musically.
Right.
It's how you are able to jump into beats, and that's why the rock and roll guy can't get with the hip hop beat, because it doesn't meet his mentality of what music is. He's used to a straight drive. Hip hop kind of throws that off a little bit, so he can't get with it. And then now he's mad at it. Mm-hmm. Now it's devil's music, right? So I think that's where we're at in the church, and we don't want to admit it. We have a lot of valuable people all over God's earth. We have incredible gifts all over. And by the way, if we're all a part of God's body, and the hand is just as valuable as the foot, and the ear is just as valuable, as the toes, then we have to acknowledge that the new, the old, and stop using semantics.
That's what it is.
To try to prove ourselves superior to other people. Just say, that's not my expression.
Right.
That's not my tradition. Exactly. That's not my generation, maybe. But I respect it and honor it, because people somewhere are still hearing about, discovering Jesus in ministries that might not call themselves ABC Kingdom Ministries.
Right. And can we be honest? It's gotten to the point where kingdom has just become another religion. It's just like interdenominational is another denomination.
Correct. It can become these things. How can it become that? If a young lady with the jeans on and the t-shirt comes to church and feels like she's being stared at the old school church, would not the church mother with the big flashy hat feel like she's being stared at?
Oh my goodness.
At the new school church?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because we all create, let's be careful, these are just social norms, little bubbles of social norms that work for us, that we've predetermined are designed to reach a certain group of people that we desire to reach. And Black people did it, moving to Warren in the early 1900s, had that place to wear their suits and their ties, and this happened in cities all over the North. Back down South, it was their place of dignity, their place of pride. You put your best on. So we got over that era. We get it. Everybody got a Cadillac and a fur and the three-piece suit. We got sick of that. We became judgmental, so now we want to break it back down. I get it, but be careful not to be judgmental in the flip side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be careful not to be judgmental on the flip side and do these. Oh, I mean, trust me, I'm here. I'm fighting all the time with older saints still not accepting that things change. That it's not like people aren't continuing to communicate that. It's not like people aren't continuing to minister to that while we're holding people's hands, knowing that they may ever only be able to go so far and be loving enough to understand that.
And how much is too much? How far is too far?
Well, when you start applying stuff that's not kingdom to the label of kingdom just because it's your preference, and there's no limit to what humans will do to please themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, we've learned a lot about addiction the last decade or so, 20 years or so, that addiction is not just what's illegal. Addiction it actually consumes much more of what's legal.
Oh, yeah.
Or what's right or what's helpful. Mm-hmm. And so we're learning that about what we call spirituality, kingdom ministry. We're taking a good thing and we get drunk on it, we get high on it, we get stuck to it, and we can't function without it. So the fact of the matter is, my generation is a Kirk Franklin generation. But if I'm Kirk Franklin generation and that's the kingdom reaching the world in a different way, that's a beautiful thing. But if I despise how great thou art,
right?
If I literally cannot find meaning in my heart in worship in a song that does not carry the beat or the sound or the flavor that I'm used to, then I am actually the opposite of kingdom. I am carnal.
Absolutely.
I am. Absolutely. If it's not my sound, if it's not the style of preaching, if it's not the guy walking around under a spotlight speaking through a headpiece mic, if it's the guy with the tie and I'm already mad at him just because he got a tie on, if I'm already mad because he has an old school way of delivery, if I'm upset because the church has red carpet or still calls themselves Beulah Baptist or Oak Grove Methodist or whatever, and I'm already prejudiced against the ministry, then I'm not kingdom at all.
Not at all. And just in case anybody don't know, I don't want to love nobody but you. I don't want to love nobody but you.
Are you really miming?
Okay. No, that's what Kirk do.
Listen.
Kirk do it. I'm.
Kirk can do it, but Todd ain't never doing it. And he need to wash them lips too while he at it, because
it look like you been French kissing an ashtray.
See, now I can't even book this brother. I can't even book this brother now.
Oh my. Okay, so
Jeff said that. So now you didn't take off Trump and Kirk.
I love Kirk. Kirk. I want to go see Kirk.
He wants to be Kirk.
I do. Kirk is a bad boy.
Jeff is the Kirk Franklin of Trumbull County.
Listen. I just heard Kirk preach the other day for the first time.
Preach. Does he preach?
He was killing it, Doc. He was Kirk.
Did he hoop though?
He ain't hoop.
He ain't preached that.
Kirk. I don't hoop, so I guess I don't preach either. It's okay. I guess you got to hoop. Hamburger. Hamburger.
Well, it works out.
So you said the first one was we
talked about rules and restrictions. Okay, let's talk about restrictions.
Restrictions. Okay.
What you can't do or shouldn't do. You know, do we live in a world anymore where people will accept any inkling of being told? You probably shouldn't do that.
No. Let me tell you.
Does that make you judgmental? You're judgmental. How dare you tell me I can't smoke crack and rob a bank?
What is our purpose as the pastor if we can't? If
it's your job to shepherd.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, if we're gonna go by shepherds, what real shepherds do.
Preach to us.
If we're gonna go by real shepherds will break a leg. Just
Reverend
to prove
Dr.
a point.
J.L. Stanford. So, come on.
Yeah, they will prove
he will break a leg to prove a point.
Break a leg to prove a point. But us,
I'll break a leg to prove a point.
If we say, I don't think y'all should get married right now, because of reasons that we've witnessed and that we've talked to y'all, we've had marriage counseling, and if we say I don't believe that right now is the right time, they're leaving the church.
But that's an opinion. What about I don't believe you should be living together before you get married?
Uh-oh.
I don't believe, you should get drunk or smoke weed or have premarital sex or any of these things. Restrictions.
And we're not.
And by the way, that's not us. We didn't make this up. We didn't sit in the room and
exactly. We didn't write the law. So we wasn't on Mount.
You sure, Doc? 'Cause the beard is coming along pretty good. You got that Moses 11 joint going. That's the Sinai 11.
I ain't gonna talk about those Jordashes you wearing.
Listen, bro. You better not pan down either. These are my dad 2.0s.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, okay, I'm restricted from buying these shoes anymore.
So,
it was $19.99 at Gabe's, Doc.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Niggas on a budget.
Hey, you gotta do it. But I mean, people are so anti. They run when they hear restrictions.
And it's so funny because I mean, this has come to epidemic proportions.
Right.
If I walk in my daughter's school right now, and the teacher says, "Sally, sit down," Sally will say, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
I ain't bothering nobody. Why? I ain't disrupting you. Now, of course, it becomes a disruption. I think it's a good lesson right here.
Right.
It becomes a disruption because that person is only addressing what they've always known to be the reasonable, standards of a classroom. And what happens when you call Sally's mama? Sally's mama comes in, "Why you picking on my baby?"
Right. Absolutely.
I'm sure other people were doing things and you didn't probably yell at them. Sally came home and so where do we get grown folk, 30, 40, 50 years old? Hey, you're out here living wild, doing things you shouldn't do. Well, why? I bet other people are doing things. Why are you judging me? We become, watch this, we become a culture of comparison.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I can say, at least I'm not, or
Right.
other people are doing, then that absolves me of any absolute responsibility to do, to not do something or.
Absolutely.
And of course, the judgment, that's a whole nother, we'll talk about the J word some other time. the J word.
Right.
You're
Only
judging
God
me.
can
Only
judge me.
God.
Only God can
We
judge
got a
me.
million Tupacs now, all believe in Jesus now.
Right. Here's one thing that my mother told me, and I believe that it's applicable even for church folk. She told me that a trained dog doesn't go in the house, doesn't make a mess in the house.
Okay.
And we're so we've gotten to the point where we do anything and everything and
Anywhere.
still think that we cool in the house. You have pastors messing with parishioners
Right.
in the house.
So have we created the toxic because the people who controlled religion have given us a bad picture of it?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think people would accept religion better if all these scandals and all this mess wasn't in the church?
I don't know if they would accept it better, but I think it would be looked at better. I think it would. I think if we see what happened down in Cincinnati, the three pastors that was just in Cincinnati were just jailed based upon them
Right.
having sex or.
And that was up in Toledo, wasn't it?
Was it? Was it Toledo?
That was
Okay,
Toledo.
Maybe it
Right,
was Toledo.
right. So they got that going on. You got the Jim Baker stuff and the.
And so in the age of social media, this stuff gets around a lot more than Pastor Todd giving away diapers to young mothers who are having babies. This the kind of what I mean?
Right.
This the kind of stuff that gets around, and this the kind of stuff that says I ain't going over there giving them their money.
But before there was a Facebook, a generation already decided I'd seen enough mess that I ain't going back. Before there was a Facebook, generation knew that there's mean people, there's hypocrites, there's favoritism, and it's not always the preacher who impregnates a teenager or something. It doesn't always have to be the nuclear bomb stuff.
Absolutely.
It could just be an overall toxic culture of religion. And then, and we'll talk about more generally a little bit later on, just the general feel of what religion has done to our world. Wars, political divisions, hatred in the name of religion from people who honestly have twisted and, perverted and corrupted very pure ideals to hate people, to say things. And by the way, it hasn't been that long Can we use some real words? Can we use some real words up in here? It hasn't been that long that preachers weren't preaching about faggots.
Come on.
And that was how homosexuality was addressed.
Absolutely.
Not that long ago.
And
in most
serious.
churches.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Most churches. You would hear sissy, left, all that, and that was popular. I mean, it was the amen.
Hey,
so
come on. Yeah.
It was.
People added that.
You want an easy amen.
Yeah, you added that into your sermon.
You want an easy amen. Go at the homos. I mean, just do that. And before that, it was the teenage mothers. Before that, it was rock and roll. Before that, it was black people. You know what I mean? Black man about to take your daughter.
Right.
So, we are not that far along. And the church, and we'll have to talk about being politically correct, but still, religiously pure.
Right.
But I think the summary of the discussion is that religion, we know, is not bad in its purity and ideals. Humans getting involved, humans corrupting and being who humans are. But we have to be careful we don't throw out one evil to adopt a new evil under a new label. Wow. And that's the best way I could leave it. Religion, and we need to stop that because sometimes it's just barriers of language, and we don't need to be that way.
Semantics.
Right.
Amen. That is religiously incorrect. We'll be back in a minute.
All right, y'all. This is Religiously Incorrect. I'm Pastor Todd.
I am Pastor Jeff.
And we are talking today about the R word.
We talking about the Rockets?
Listen.
What's his name came back?
Bruh. I heard so many funny things about that trade, man. Somebody had a meme up because what is it now? Now it's Westbrook with Harden.
Yeah.
Somebody had 2019-2020 Rocket season, just them fighting over the ball.
That's it.
Just two kids fighting over the ball, man. It was hilarious. I think it's an equal trade. I don't think anybody wins or loses. It's just.
Well, I mean, Paul and the Bear never got along. They never got along, and they wasn't on the court a lot together either. So,
but at this point, both Paul and Westbrook are underachieving entities in the NBA.
They're the same person.
And they have not found the right chemistry with anybody. I mean, poor Westbrook, man, he's like a broken child at this point. Everybody left this cat, man. I mean, the world be free, leave this cat.
Well, what I will say is that I think a lot of people are underrating, and nobody have said anything about the Warriors this year, and I still believe they're the team to beat.
You still think the Warriors are the team to beat?
With Clay on that team,
they're done, man.
Come on,
everybody's gonna start. What you saw at the end with the injuries is gonna be all 2019. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Once you start splintering shins and stuff and kneecaps, it's like a contagious. It's contagious. I'm telling you. I mean, come on, man. They put Durant out forever.
Right. I mean, now they crown on LeBron again as the king again in LA because they got Davis. But I mean, the rest of their team is like, retirement age. The rest of their team is like the Kyrie Irving movie.
All I know is I need trading cards to find out who's on whose team, man. I'm not even, and I ain't buying my kids no new posters, no new. They better get some masking tape or something or new colors in.
This dude at my job had a Baker Mayfield.
Right.
A college jersey. I was gonna grab it, man. It was a 3X though, and I didn't want to look like I had on a dress.
You can grow into it, Doc.
I didn't want to look like I had on a dress.
Hey, my son has an Odell Beckham poster on his wall. It's a New York Giants poster though, because it's not a Browns poster.
Yeah, come on. I was finna get excited. I was finna get excited.
Nah, bro. I made sure I bought that mug on discount when he got traded on clearance. But he's not going. He's never gonna have a Browns jersey.
He's coming along.
Not at my house.
The R word.
The R word. We're talking about religion. So earlier we were talking about, and we kind of got into the religion versus kingdom debate. And we kind of discussed it. Maybe it's our perspective. It doesn't have to be anybody else's. That religion in general, Christian religion, that is, has its own tenets. It's about routines, regulations. It's about uniting people in a sense of togetherness. And of course, that's tainted and perverted by all types of bad behavior and bad representations. And so that makes people want to escape to something else.
Right.
But it actually ends up being the same thing.
Exactly.
On a broader sense, though, Pastor Jeff, what has religion, all religion, this is always dangerous as Christian preachers to give any credence or validity at all to other religions, other faiths and beliefs. But what is the good and bad of religion in general in our world? What do you think?
Well, first, let me say this, that in my perspective, I believe that we are no longer living in a monotheistic world. We have definitely scoped into a polytheistic, believe what you want to believe. Whatever you believe is your truth.
My truth.
My truth.
Oprah started
I'm
that
doing
stuff,
me.
Man. That's Oprah's fault.
Whatever God you want to believe in is cool. And so it is making it very hard because honestly, we will have somebody who will go to a Christian church who does not have a Christian view.
Ooh.
Does not and will not have the Christian view and will actually join.
Ooh.
And does not have Christian.
Under the blood.
Come on, man.
Baptized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I think, we really, first of all, we need to know.
How do you take that, though? Because, okay, let's be real transparent. This is about to be our moment of transparency. We have seen that person come down our aisles, go through the process. And as pastors, we kind of knew. They're almost broadcasting it.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, this is what I'm doing for now. like, if you say so, I'm like, Jesus died for your sins. I guess. Mm-hmm. Grandma, you're getting on my nerves, so here I am. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
What do you do, man? You stop that person and say, I don't think you really believe.
I'm just going to be very transparent here. Didn't join up under me, but was there and was probably one of the greatest members. And I didn't know, because, you preaching, they still giving you the amens and this and that. But then when they open up their mouth, they're like, all praise be to the atmosphere and to the trees. Like, excuse me?
Right.
To the what?
The blessing of the rocks.
I mean, and so now it becomes...
They'd be like, you ask him to pray, they'd be like, Mother God. Mother God, give her of gummy bears.
I said, give her of gummy bears.
You're like, where did this come from?
and so, after that first conversation, you begin to listen to everything they say.
Now you're honed in on it.
You're like, okay, let me see what they're going to say today. Now you're scared for them to talk, but they're great members. So great membership does not always, transform into, discipleship.
Genuine faith.
Yeah, genuine faith. So, and so we have to be very careful. And how like you said, how do we tell this person, let me ask you that. We know as Christian pastors what we believe, and what we believe and what they're talking is completely opposite. Right. So do we tell them they're wrong? And do we?
Well, you absolutely have to if that's your conviction and your obligation as a Christian period.
Right.
Definitely as a leader.
Absolutely.
You have to. Do you have to bash, scream, holler, embarrass, humiliate? Don't let them finish their sentence and all that stuff. No, and I've seen that happen a lot.
Absolutely.
Wait, don't even say no more. Say what you're gonna say, man. Paul dealt with this. Jesus listened to people say their piece. Mm-hmm. Say your piece, man. It's a free country. Now, I'm not going to let you overtake the Bible study, the service, you jump up, say something crazy. If you are literally doing some official service or some official function and you go off the rails, I'm going to have to find some kind of way to pull that back. But, it's our obligation to share truth. Okay. And to correct error wherever it exists.
Now, probably about a year ago, this thing went on and, it was blown way up on Facebook and all over, where the transgender person came to a church service and the pastor asked them to leave.
Okay, but see, that's not a religious issue.
Okay, you're right.
That's not an issue of different religions clashing or you're finding something. That is a person who is probably professing that faith, but is expressing it, or their lifestyle doesn't line up with what that church genuinely believes.
Yeah, you're right.
We're talking about living in, you said polytheistic, I'll say for the sake of America, post-Christian, you know, where we have had to come to terms with our shrinking world because of technology and awareness of everyone, that the world is not just made up of a whole bunch of Christians and a couple Muslims over here and a couple Buddhists over there and a couple, you know, that's why we act like, because of the bubbles we live in. We act like it's like, you know, 6.59 billion Christians. And then it's like 32,
12.
right, like 32 Muslims. And then the only time we blow up their numbers is when we want to paint them as a threat. That's when we want to pretend like there are so many Muslims and there are so many. Is when they're going to kill us all. Right. They're going to kill us all and build a mosque on top of your church. Right. Now there's Muslims. But the fact is, as a culture now, speaking about the black culture in particular, in the world we live in, it's multicultural. There is more of an openness than ever to at least the acceptance and respect of all religions. And at the same time, there is an animosity towards any and all religion. So, you know, that goes back to that John Lennon stuff. You know, imagine there's no religion and there's no churches and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of come true. So you have Christians who are more open than ever to the idea. I don't want to say that there's more than one way, but at least I can look at someone in a valid way and express their humanity and their religion. And at the same time, out there somewhere, there are people who are just like, all y'all the same. You're all evil. You brought war into the world. You brought divisiveness. You have oppressed women and minorities and allowed for atrocity, slavery, all these things, and that we are all equal guilty partners.
Well, I mean, I think it's even so to the point of people who have no religion at all.
Right.
Will ask the question, how is your religion right and or better than everybody else's? How is your God right and or better than everybody else's?
Do you have a hard time accepting the sincerity of questions like that? Especially from intelligent people. From intelligent people.
Right.
Because I'm like, dude, you know people are just religious and believe what they believe. Why are you even trying to paint this down, drill it down to belief is just that. It's belief.
It's belief.
None of it, quite frankly, needs facts.
It shouldn't.
Even if they exist.
Right.
Because it's a function of faith.
Right.
So if this is what you've come to believe, then I'm not asking for a timeline and a pie chart, you know, and a tree stump with a carving of whatever in it to prove that this was what it is. And then the other part of religion is that we compare and contrast them as if they all have not, here's real dangerous talk, as if they all have not at some point and somewhere in history intertwined, derived, borrowed, or gleaned or interacted with one another in some way, shape, or form. Okay, in the black community, in somebody's mind, Christianity came from a slave owner.
Absolutely.
Okay, history clearly tells us that it was already existent in Africa, in the African continent, prior to slavery. Now, history also tells us it was probably more on the eastern part, and that these western part probably weren't Christians, you know, the ones that they were coming after at first. But history also tells us that Muslims had a start date too. You know, the Muslim religion had a start date, the Hindu religion had a start date. It might be further back. Does time make them any more or less valid? Can we at least respect that no religion has to be fake or phony based off of somebody's contrived timeline?
Right.
If it's a function of faith, it is what it is. So the question now becomes, Jeff, what credence or respect can you give to other religions without offending or neglecting or rejecting your own?
Here's my credence and respect to all religions, because I truly believe that everybody, from the beginning, from time the cord was cut, which actually represents that you were connected to somebody, wants to be connected to something or another.
Everybody wants to be connected.
Everybody wants to be connected. And truth be told, if a Muslim would have got to me before a Christian got to me, I may be Muslim.
Ooh.
I may, because I wanted to belong to somebody or another. I am a Christian.
The evangelists are shouting right now because they're saying, see, that's the point. We're not getting to them fast enough.
Well, truth. So here's my thing. Since I am a Christian, this is what I believe. I believe that any religion I would say any religion can save you from the water, but Christianity will save you to the boat.
Oh, wow.
Now that's my take.
Unpack that and leave all the styrofoam peanuts on the floor after you do it. Save you from the water, meaning
right.
save you from danger,
your dangers
destructiveness.
outside. Muslims can save you. You can become a better man. You can become this great person. You can
stop drinking the white man's liquor.
Right. You can dress better. You stop
like
fighting.
Malcolm X.
Matter of fact, if you go to jail, you good. Just get with them brothers. You good.
Right. They take care of you.
Right. They're gonna take care of you. But Christianity, based upon what we believe, what we study, what we've learned, what we went to school, is the only religion that, after death, you're going to go to heaven.
Other people teach that too.
Well, I mean,
we're the only true one. We don't have we don't want to go to the real heaven. The rest of y'all.
The rest of y'all got fake heavens. Y'all got the bosom of Abraham.
Listen, paradise, 70 virgins. Okay. All right, I'm with you.
That's my belief.
I mean, a lot of people would say that. A lot of people who have, and I'm not using this word in a politically loaded manner, but a lot of people who have a liberal worldview, which just means they're a little bit broader about things, would say that, don't tell me what you believe. Show me what your belief does for you. How does it make you a better person? Right. How do you treat people? And a lot of religions or adherents of different religions claim that their religion helps them do that. And by the way, you have good actors and bad actors in every single one.
God. Oh my God.
You got good actors. You got some jerk Buddhists out there. You know what I'm saying? You got some punk Hindus. You know what I'm saying? I mean, quiet as it's kept.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're all out there. I guess in my
Muslims
don't do it.
Eating steak.
You can talk about it if you want.
Eating steak.
Nah, they eating pork.
They
eating
pork chops.
Bacon. But yeah, you can go to Muslim if you want to, Doc.
I ain't going at y'all.
Not me.
I love y'all.
Peace and grace.
Matter of fact, let me get a bean pie.
Stop. See?
I like bean pies. I do. Brother. I got one from
brother.
One the other day.
Brother. I love y'all. I love y'all, my brothers. This is Islamically incorrect. This is Islamically incorrect. With Brother Jeff, Brother Todd. Okay. All right. I guess my perspective would be this. Number one, you have to respect that since the beginning of time, people have believed different things. And even when God called Abram, he called him out of a place where religion already existed. Mm-hmm. Just not the right one, apparently.
Absolutely.
Okay? Belief, faith in something or it was already there. We can't deny that even in our story, at least in the historical side, the earth natural side of it, it would appear that something was sort of established. Now we all believe Adam and all before that, God always existed. That's central to Christian faith, right? But it's obvious that there's always been people of diverse faiths. And I think that we can have respect to shared human values, the dignity of humanity, the safety of humanity, the care for the vulnerable among us, children, the elderly, the disabled, the dignity of all human life. And you can meet and agree on those basics. There was one, I cannot attribute this, I forget who said it. Maybe somebody out there in podcast world can remind me. But there was one pastor who told the story of sitting down at an ecumenical gathering. And ecumenical basically means people of all different religions and faiths, as opposed to interdenominational, which is people who are within Christian faith. They just happen to have some distinctions. So at this ecumenical gathering, before he made his comments, he said, before I even say anything about our religious discussion here, I need to establish that each and every one of us sitting at this table believe that our way is the only way. Because you might as well not dance around it. Right. After you get done with all the niceties, and we've been to banquets where they have the Jewish guy give a blessing and the Muslim person read a scripture and the Christian person. We've been at those kind of events. And after all the niceties are over, at the end of the day, the Muslim believes that if people do not accept their faith, they will be damned in some way or another. And if they do accept their faith, they will be, saved or redeemed or experience paradise or some, pleasant outcome. We all believe that. Now, there are a couple out there that are just kind of lack of a better word, agnostic about it. Like, some Buddhists or whoever can believe, hey, you can be a Christian and you're fine too as long as you're a good person. We still have to believe that there is punishment for those who don't believe in Jesus. That's where the Christian has to. Is it rough and jarring to hear in 2019 in this culture? Absolutely. Is it the truth? Absolutely. I just lost like 30% of our audience, and they'll never tune in again. But
please keep on watching. I ain't saying he did.
This is Jeff was like, send me your money, send me his money.
So let me ask you this. Is it possible for us to believe what we believe and still work independently with folk of different belief systems? I mean, let's say this. I can't even remember what the date was, but the Million Man March.
Million Man March.
Was that
1996?
I was supposed to be there, but I end up, I did.
You're probably kicking it with a female.
I did say I was leaving, but
listen,
I didn't. I made it to Washington Street.
Listen, there was some millions marching, all right. There was some marching.
I came back. That was the best. I had some fun with those brothers. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Million Man March, Christians are there.
Christians are there.
Listening to Farrakhan.
Mm-hmm.
Farrakhan preaches in Christian churches all the time.
All the time.
All the time. He got their crosses and everything. He's better than some preachers.
He is.
Brother, listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for him to tune up one day. I mean,
he know the Bible.
He be like, your Bible says.
Yeah, exactly. And most of us don't know his Quran. Okay, but go ahead.
There it is. But not only do I think there's opportunity to and possibility, the Bible speaks that if occasion calls for it, there's a bit of obligation. I think we're a little screwed up thinking that we really like in this Christian country and, Christian world. It's a post-Christian country. It was always a post-Christian world. And whatever we call Christianity in the Western world ain't really all that Christian in the first place. You might as well just leave that for another episode too.
Right.
Jeremiah says to the people, God says you ain't going nowhere for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for the people, work alongside the people, pray for your prosperity, pray for the governments and the people who are over you who very obviously don't believe what you believe.
Right.
Daniel and the three Hebrew boys working in Nebuchadnezzar's court, Nehemiah being a cupbearer to the king. People who just share in just basics. Should you ever diminish the core beliefs, not even the core, but the auxiliary beliefs of the Bible in favor of some ecumenical work? I would say no. That there is nothing about me personally, and that might restrict me a little bit in my experiences with people. I would not want to diminish any core beliefs. And by the way, the core beliefs of the Bible for the New Testament Christian are not kill all the infidels either.
Right.
All right, that's in the Old Testament, and there are times when God's like destroy our enemies and all that. Then there's a whole lot of times when God's like, all right, you young men gonna be in the enemy's court for the next 40 years. So deal with it.
Well, can I play devil's advocate for
Be devil's advocate. You got 3 minutes.
Can play devil's advocate. What if those who would say a little leaven spoils the whole loaf? What if those who would say a speck of dirt in a clear glass of water makes all the water dirty?
If that leaven is getting in my pulpit, if that leaven is teaching my Bible studies, if that leaven is informing me of my faith and my Christianity, then that would make sense. That makes sense. But if I'm partnering with a Muslim brother for the sake of simply saying that children are starving and together we can raise money to feed them.
Absolutely.
Women are being abused and we will advocate together for their protection and their dignity. War is wrong and we want to campaign against warmongering among politicians and sending our boys and ladies and men to go out and kill innocent women and children, in this crazy pursuit of what we call modern warfare. That's not leaven in the church to me. That's not leaven in my ministry to me. People might say it differently. There are some people who are very strict. I'm not partnering with nobody on nothing if they ain't declaring Jesus Christ crucified, resurrected, and blood. I get it. I respect it because that's all a part of our distinctions. I do have lines that I draw.
Right. Exactly.
That I will hopefully, prayerfully, not cross nor violate and not dishonor my faith. But I understand that there are certain common human goals, common human concerns that we can meet others with. Now, truth be told, there are some faiths out there that teach a destructive, and let's finish up with this, 90 seconds. How do we, as Black Christians especially, we have a tie that we don't like to speak about. There is a tie of dignity. There is a tie of pride. There is a tie of culture with our Black Muslim brothers and sisters and our overseas Middle East brothers and sisters. Now, please don't take the word brothers and sisters. I'm saying they're brothers in Christ. I'm just saying human brothers and sisters. Right. We are not going to be like our white conservative friends talking about Islam is the religion of war and destruction and Farrakhan. Like I said, half of us like Farrakhan. Right. I mean, or at least feel like he's saying what a whole bunch of preachers need to say. I mean, where do you draw the line with that? Are you not going to say anything? We already talked about bean pies and stuff, man. So
no, but I mean, I'm in a total agreement with you that there are lines that I won't cross. But when it comes to things as far as police brutality,
right?
I need them.
Because they will fight.
Right. I need them.
They will come out with them black suits on and stand outside like Malcolm X and like Brother Johnson. You better let Brother Johnson out.
Because I can call preacher such and such around town. He gonna say, let's pray.
Ooh.
And I'm like, okay, right now we don't need to pray. Right now we need to march.
I need a stick.
Right now we need to talk. Right now we need to speak truth to power. But brother such and such gonna want to go to the prayer closet. And those folk down, in downtown,
at the mosque,
in downtown. Ain't worried about your prayer closet.
They might not be. Hey, I was just saying to a brother earlier today, sometimes we're fighting principalities when we should be fighting policy.
Come on, sir.
But to your end, I mean, I just think there's a certain connection we have. And I think as African Americans, there's already so much against us. We look for measures of unity. And maybe they should not be there. But if perhaps we had a pure expression of faith throughout our history, we wouldn't see the need to connect with these individuals. And by the way, before we close out, the reason we only usually talk about certain religions is because we don't really know the other ones.
Absolutely.
I mean, only Black Buddhist I know is Tina Turner.
Right. I don't know a whole bunch of Greek Orthodox.
I don't know any Hindus. I don't know. It's just the reality. Again, the culture has bubbled us in that we only have so many experiences. So the multi-religious reality of our world is really not something that most African Americans have to personally encounter on a regular basis. And by the way, we're still not going to get away from our basic, old school churchified background. Absolutely. No matter what. You will not see one of our Black movies displaying any other religion but the church.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this before we close. Last night I was looking on Facebook and somebody was just that guy who will always put on that crazy stuff on there.
All right.
Talking about yoga.
His name is that guy. Reverend that guy.
I'm not going to put his name out there. But he was talking about yoga and how it is a, pagan.
It is.
I mean,
demonic. You're going to hell. You over there doing the frog stance.
Well, I mean, I know yoga pants are the devil.
Listen, amen, somebody. They will send you to hell.
They're going to send somebody to hell, if not you yourself. They're going to send all of us.
This is Religiously Incorrect with Jeff Yoga Pants Stanford, confessing his weaknesses.
No, I ain't saying nothing about all I said is they the devil.
All right. No, but you're absolutely right. But that's a whole other debate for a whole other time. What practices can Christians engage in that won't send them to hell?
Amen.
Not many. This is Religiously Incorrect with Pastor Todd and
Pastor Jeff.
We love having y'all. We want y'all comments, your feedback.
Please
send us your angry emails. Call us names. Do all that stuff.
Please.
We can handle it.
Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
Tell Jesus. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Y'all take care.